Friends, are you kidding me? Our favorites are back. David Thomas and Sissy Goff, who need no introduction. They are from the Big Yellow House in Nashville, Tennessee at Daystar Counseling. They are authors that you have read, whether you want worry-free girls or you want to raise emotionally strong boys. And they are here with their new book, drum roll please, Capable: How to Teach Your Kids Strengths, Skills, and Strategies to Build Resilience. Welcome back, guys.
Oh, we love to be with you every single time, in person,
Indeed.
Virtually, anyway.
Totally. It's amazing.
And what a kind introduction. I'd like to just finish my day right there. What a beautiful way to step into the day. Arlene,
yes.
You're the dearest.
I cannot tell you. Of course, you were here last September in San Diego for the Parents Rising Conference, and so many parents came to me and said, wow, we learned so much. And that's really what you bring to people. You bring us the knowledge of years and experience, the grace to receive hard truths, and you are just the honest and kindest people ever. So let's start this with this. In your 30 plus years of counseling, right, you have never been more concerned. That's kind of the entryway to this new book, Capable. Talk to what you've seen and why you are so concerned at this moment for kids.
Yes, we know. I mean, all of us have been talking about that. Several years ago, the Surgeon General said there was a mental health crisis among kids. Several years after that, he cited parental stress as a major health advisory. And we have seen evidence of all of that brewing for years now, seen anxiety on the rise, depression on the rise, suicidality on the rise, seen parents feeling more stress, more anxiety. And what we're seeing now is this culture that I think in reaction has moved to being averse to risk, averse to effort, averse to discomfort. And we are talking I think I'm talking every day to a parent of a young child who says they'll only eat 3 foods. I'm talking to an elementary school age parent who says, I can't leave them. They're melting down every morning before school. A middle schooler who won't try a new activity if they don't think they'll do it perfectly. A high schooler who won't reach out to new friends because that's awkward. An adolescent who won't get their driver's license. It's like they're not moving into these things that we know are not only milestones, but they're indicative of kids who want to grow. I had a girl years ago who said to me, I don't want to grow. I just want to be understood. And we're seeing more and more of that happen with kids and with adults. And that is not what we know this life is going to bring the kids that we love. And so we have got to prepare them for something different.
Right. No, it's so true. There's one thing in your book, you give a story, and we're going to get to like those scenarios because I want to get to that. Oh, I can't get my kid to do X, Y, and Z. What do I do as a parent? So we're going to get there. But a kid that's like, you do it for me, right? Like they won't do it themselves. You do it for me. And David, I'd like you to talk about like, wait a minute, what if the parent, like let's say they're either yelling because it's so big and the parent just wants it to go away, or they look so pitiful. You do it for me. I can't do it. Right. So they're either so belligerent or so pitiful. How can that parent then, instead of like, oh, okay, child of mine, I'll do it for you. How can that parent then snap and say, oh, I get it. No, I'm supposed to say, no, you do it yourself.
It's a great question, Arlene. And it's fascinating to me that you even use that very example. My wife is an educator, has been teaching for decades and decades. And she was telling me a story recently of observing a group of kids and their parents walking around the school building to hang out at the playground after school, and how many of the kids dropped their backpacks and assumed or requested that their parent carry those around the school. And she watched this wise, intuitive mom, after her daughter dropped her backpack, say, hey, honey, you need to grab that. You're capable. Even use the very word we talk so often about. And she looked back at her mom and said, I don't want to be capable.
Ooh.
And so I think it's another example of the story Sissy shared earlier of, I don't want to, and let's just use that as an analogy. I don't want to carry heavy things. I don't want to do hard things. I don't want to carry my backpack now, and I don't want to join a team later. And, Arlene, to your great question, I think our challenge to parents would be, what's required to help you consistently throughout your kids' growth and development be playing the long game, that you are always forecasting where you want to see your kids moving, so that when you're in the hard moments, making difficult decisions that could bring about an even bigger reaction or require kids to move deeper into discomfort, we've got a target in mind of where we're headed. Because think on the sequence of what Sissy just described. It's like, if I can't separate out from my parent here, and I'm not trying out for a team here, and I'm not reaching out to friends here and getting my driver's license, the next significant milestone is the significant drop. I do a lot of work with boys and adolescent males. We've seen in young men who are even willing to apply to college, and the stats around young men who are still living at home between 18 and 24. And then I don't even want to talk about the stats of young men who are still living at home at 30. Like, it's so heartbreaking to think of these capable young men not moving out into the world. That, again, if we're not playing the long game, making the decisions in the everyday when they're younger, absolutely could lead to those realities on the backside.
So, right. So if you have an elementary school child that you just picture in your mind, oh, look, they're 30 and they're living with me. And then you realize, oh, this is not going to work. Please pick up your backpack. And I think too, it's really the parent has to be willing to be different, because they say, oh, every other parent's doing this. Maybe I'm a bad parent if I don't hold the backpack too, right? So you guys know my family so well. So my husband, James, not only gives the backpack, my daughter's backpack, it is so heavy, right? Because in school, they have so much stuff. It is so heavy. And not only will she carry it, she will ride her bike 3 miles, and it's hilly, like one part, with the backpack, and then ride. So it's 6 miles round trip with that crazy backpack. And I will say, as a mom, many times I'm the one that's like, oh, it's a little tiny bit cold. Let me drive you so you don't have to carry that backpack. But it is my husband who is like, no, she is capable of that. Kind of speak to the man-woman thing, like the father-mother thing. Because I think stereotypically, obviously there are exceptions, but many times it is the strength of a man to say, you can do that.
Yes. Well, to the other end of that story, Arlene, as you know my family well, and I have these 2 little amazing nephews I'm getting to do life alongside. One's 7 and one will be 4 in a week. And we go out to dinner together regularly. And, at those ages, they need to go to the bathroom every 10 minutes. And so my brother-in-law has started saying to the oldest, you can go by yourself, Henry, and in a public place. And every time my sister and I lock eyes and panic. And as a therapist, I know way too many stories. I know way too much to feel fearful. And so, David and I also want to say, we get it. Like, we get the risks that are involved in some of the things we're asking parents to do. And Henry's confidence when he comes back to the table, having gone by himself, we can't trade that. It is so valuable. And so, I can't even remember your original question, but I think
just the man and the woman, or whichever one is leaning towards, hey, let's let them do it. I think the more mushy parent should be like, okay, maybe I should be quiet and make them do it with the stronger parent.
Yes, that's exactly right. And, it's interesting because, we've talked about anxiety a lot together. And in the research, it says that in a 2-parent household, there's often an anxious parent and a non-anxious parent. Mm-hmm. And the non-anxious parent is often dismissed.
Yes.
And so even in this, that non-anxious parent's voice is so incredibly important. And ladies that are listening, please hear me say this with so much grace. We are twice as likely as the fellas in our lives to deal with anxiety. And so it is often, to your great point, Arlene, them. And so we've got to lean into that and do our own work as we're sitting there at the table, imagining all the things that could be happening in the bathroom.
Yeah. My pastor used to say, and I really liked, don't do for your kids what they can do for themselves, which really encapsulates capable, right? What you're saying. Yes. How do we as a parent, if we realize, oh, wow, I'm doing too much. I am packing the lunch. I'm micromanaging the homework. I am making sure you have zero discomfort in your life. If you say I'm bored, I hand you the tablet. Like, I am doing everything for you. How do I begin to change? Where do I start?
Arlene, we talk in the book about an equation we love of support and challenge. And I think too, even the question you just asked, Sissy and I both believe that intuitively, we as people lean a little bit more in one direction than the other.
Mhm.
And so Sissy did a beautiful job of
Yes.
challenging moms. I'm going to challenge dads and to
Yeah.
say, I think dads are often, to the very story Sissy just shared, Olympic gold medalists with challenge. Like, I think we do consistently a pretty great job of helping kids move bravely out into the world. But we've got some growth to do in the place of support. Like, we intuitively lean toward problem solving and fixing. And so sometimes our listening skills need a little tune up. And so that being true in my house, my wife is an Olympic gold medalist with support, and she can lean in the directions you described of wanting to rescue our kids a little more easily, she would say, if she were here. And I can struggle because I'm so good at challenge, just sitting with them in support, sitting with them in the hard first and just listening. So I think our challenge to your question would be,
Yeah.
depending on the direction you lean, what would it look like to grow in the other direction?
Wow,
Because
that's good.
what we don't want is just one parent offering all the support, one offering all the challenge. Kids need equal parts from both. And so how does it look to grow the part that's less developed in you? In the exact same ways we want to grow things in our kids.
Wow, that is just replay that over and over, friends. Support or challenge and learn how to do the other better. That is so good. In the book, you have this little chart of a self-fulfilling circle. So just kind of picture in your mind, listener, like a little circle. The first point is, I don't know what to do. I mean, how many of us have been there? And then we go to the arrow, ask the expert, which right now is some online. And then in the very near future will just be like, hello, AI companion, please tell me what to do.
Yes.
And then the expert will give you an answer. You'll do it. And you'll be like, wow, I guess I don't know what I'm doing. I must always ask the expert. I will keep asking the expert. And we're going to be going around this really bad circle of very like the opposite of wisdom and using our own resources as a parent, outsourcing all that. Talk about how we need to get out of that cycle, rely maybe on a grandparent, like on a person of our own mother or our own father, and ask from God instead of asking these quote unquote experts and questioning ourselves.
Yeah. So we talk in the book about, having done this work now 30 plus years, we've seen a lot of shifts in the world of parenting. And we talk about them being swings and extremes and how really most of the time, every correction is an overcorrection. And where we have landed, we were seeing this, as we talked about, movement into a lot of anxiety in parents. And it feels like now the answer has become the experts. And Arlene, with your story, I have heard my first parent about a month ago said they were at a family gathering and her 14-year-old daughter started being really disrespectful and she was humiliated and in tears. And she went into the bathroom and got on, she said, my favorite parenting app and asked the chat bot, what do I do with a teenager who's disrespectful? And what happens anytime we default to experts, exactly like you said, we feel like the next time we need to default to experts. We trust them more, we doubt ourselves more. And instead, I love your idea of, I think the wisdom of generations before us is so important that they have learned so much and really our parents were getting a lot right when it came to capable. There were some things they might have been missing when it came to emotional vocabulary, coping strategies, things like that.
You didn't have the chart on the refrigerator.
Right, exactly. But in terms of helping us learn to be capable, they were doing great. And so there is some real wisdom in going to those folks and trusting that you are the only expert regarding your child. God has given you this profound gift of intuition. And as a therapist, I pray every single day that the Holy Spirit would inform my intuition. And I think that's a beautiful prayer to pray as a parent as well, that God would continue to lead you. And as David talked about, and I think we talked about in the seminar at your church, we've got to quiet the voice of our own worry sometimes to hear the voice of God. And so again, we're circled right back to, we've got to do our own work to trust ourselves more than the experts, because in truth, the experts don't know your kids. And here we're all presenting ourselves in that space, and we would all hope we're being helpful, but you still know your kids better than anyone else.
Yeah. About the role of faith We talk about bringing God into all of this. Ephesians 3:20, now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than we ask or imagine, according to his power at work within us. How can we as parents grow in faith ourselves like this, right? Because we have everything we need immeasurably more, and we have the power of the Holy Spirit working in us. So A, how can we get that more as parents? And then B, how can we teach our kids to do the same?
A great question. Arlene, my first thought, even linking the last question to this one, is let's just, as people, sit in the reality of how often we're tempted to engage a chatbot over the voice of our creator. Like, let's just sit right there as our starting point. Like, what an unwise move. And we've all been guilty. I'm not pointing the finger at anybody but myself. So let's be sobered by that thought first. And I think challenged to let the highest priority for every one of us be anchoring ourselves to that relationship and the truth of God. And I love our collective dear friend, Justin Whitmore Early, just talks about, what if you just began your day every day, the first 30 minutes without a device anywhere near? And I have been practicing that habit and noticing how that centers me. Like, I don't want to look at it. I don't want to know how many texts are waiting on me, how many emails I should respond to, but just, I don't want to know the news of the world, actually, like, until I've just sat in the presence of God. So I would want to encourage any parent to think about, what would that practice look like for you based on whatever season of parenting you're in, that before you stepped into all the realities of the day, you began with just prioritizing that relationship. That I think is the first important step in that direction.
Yeah. And isn't it interesting? It's what we've been talking about. Like, I don't want to be capable. Like, to listen to the voice of God is hard. I don't want to sit around and have to, maybe I'll get rebuked. Maybe I'll be corrected. Maybe it'll take a week to get a nudge of wisdom. But if I talk to this AI, right, I will get the instant answer, and I'll probably like what it says because it wants to please me. So it's really, the whole thing is tied in. You write in the book, recently the comfort zones of kids seem to be getting smaller and smaller, to the point that they can be mostly found in a small rectangle called a screen. The smarter our world has gotten, the dumber, or maybe we should say the more dependent we have become, the less capable. I love this so much. Like, I'm working on a book right now, and yes, I am. And one of the things I'm saying is, the smarter the toy, the dumber the child, and the dumber the toy, the smarter the child.
Oh, yes.
Right. And so, because if this toy is so smart, why do I have to do anything?
Right.
Talk about what you've seen with screens and this that connection.
Yes, significant shifts in kids. And it's part of where, and really, I think the pandemic is when we started to see so much shifting in terms of social anxiety with kids. Not only social anxiety, but rigidity, both, which is a whole nother issue that we could talk about. But that in particular, and primarily in my work with girls, I mean, the amount of girls right now that use the word awkward 17 times per counseling session. Why would I text someone, even texting on a screen? Why would I text someone I don't know? Well, that's awkward. Why would I ever ask someone to hang out with me? That's so awkward. Why would I? One of my favorite stories in the book is a girl who was struggling with some friendships and finally got to a place where she felt like she had found a group, and she decided for homecoming, which we could talk about the pressure involved in homecoming these days too, but she decided she was going to have everybody over to her house to get ready. And there were a couple of girls who didn't have anywhere to go, and her mom started trying to encourage her to invite them. And she said, "That's so awkward." And her mom said, "Honey, you were in the same position about 6 months ago. That's so awkward. Why would I do that?" I think it'd be a great idea. Back and forth, to the degree that they landed in my office to talk about it. And she was in angry tears at her mom. "I can't believe you're going to try and make me do this. This is no fun, and it feels so weird and awkward." And her mom said, Arlene, which I loved, she said, "My job is not to make you comfortable and have fun and be happy. My job is to develop your character and help you understand how capable you truly are."
Yes.
And she made her invite the girls. And I'm so
Yes.
grateful. But that's
Yes.
part of it. We're watching everything
Yes.
happen, scrolling through, and we don't know how to engage any longer. We don't know how to care for others any longer.
Right. Yeah. What is that rigidity that you spoke about?
Well, we're seeing it happen in so many different situations, Arlene, but boys in our group counseling sessions who don't get to go to the restaurant that they thought they chose for dinner, and
Yeah.
they just melt down and lose it. Kids who are told no, girls who don't get the gift they imagined they might get for their birthday. I think I'm talking to rigidity with 80% of clients I'm seeing right now.
Yeah.
And in the book, we have 5 strengths, 5 skills, 5 strategies that create kind of this pyramid of capability. And flexibility is one of the most foundational strengths, because this morning we were about to hop on our call,
Right.
and a work truck pulled up to my house, and I had to leave my house, fly to the office, hook up my microphone here, which I never do. Flexibility has been required of every one of us 4 times today already, and
Right.
will be kids. And this rigidity is all about control, which is a response to the anxiety that we're seeing in them today. And so we've got to do something different to prepare them. And David in our parenting seminars talks about, so we want you to go home and tonight, everybody shift 1 seat to the left at the dinner table. And every person in the
I'm gonna
room
try this
is
tonight.
stricken,
Yes.
and especially thinking about their oldest child, stricken. And at the same time, we've got to teach kids how to live with flexibility, as well as all these other ideas we're talking about.
It's almost obviously enough will happen in normal life. And instead of making that go away, just let it happen. Or you
Yes.
could even make them do things they don't want on purpose. Like,
Yes.
I have to teach you to be flexible. So I need you to wake up an hour early on Saturday and go with me on this errand. And just to teach them, I have to learn how to be flexible. David, there are 3 C's that can help us through. Can you give us kind of the overview? And obviously, people, you need to get this book Capable so you get deeper in this and you can see the pyramid that Sissy talked about. But what are those 3 C's?
The 3 C's are connected to our definition in the book of capable, which is that capable kids have practiced coping and learned competence for life's challenges. And the very story Sissy just shared is a perfect example. She got to practice all 3 today. She got to practice coping when she got a curveball. She had to develop competence. How do I work my way through solving this problem? Because it was a challenge, an unexpected challenge that required that flexibility. And so, again, back to our challenge of the long game. If we are thinking that, Sissy, I won't say our age out loud, but let's just say when our kids
30s,
are in mid-adulthood, that they're going to be flexing these muscles right and left. So how can I develop these muscles in the right now? And one of the things, Arlene, we did in the book that we hope is a really fun way, we believe it will be, of learning is we put in 100 what we call capable building exercises and things that families can do together. And in the everyday that we think will be these really fun and great family experiments to flex and develop these muscles.
You're going to have all these capable kids coming out of it. Okay, let's do a little role playing. So I'm going to be the kid. You're going to be the parent. I don't want to go to school today. I don't feel like it. Everybody's mean to me. I don't want to go. I think it's useless.
I can't wait to hear your stories of all the adventure you find today at school.
All right.
And we take them and drop them off.
Yeah, exactly. It's true that you don't have to have maybe this big long conversation like, okay, that's nice. You're going to go and bye-bye. I don't want to go to summer camp.
It's scary to do brand new things. I'm so grateful you're as brave as you are. I can't wait to hear the stories on the other side.
I want to move schools.
I am so sad that school has been so hard for you this year. And the thing about moving schools is you move with the school. And so often things are the same at different schools. So let's figure out what we can do to make where you are a better place. And I can't wait to see what you figure out.
I love this. See, look how easy this is, guys. Get the book and you'll get more of these kinds of things. Okay, the last thing, David, you guys write in the book about your friend who they gave their child, they got the driver's license and they said, if you're ever drinking while driving, we will sell your car. What happened?
It's fascinating. to me, Arlene, in 3 decades of doing this work, I have heard hundreds of parents say that or threaten that or write that into a driving contract. I have only known 3 parents who actually did it. In fact, one of those is a dear friend and colleague of both of ours. Who's an amazing man, an amazing therapist, and an amazing father, and drove his son to the dealership. He experimented with alcohol, was very clear they'd done a contract, and drove his son to the dealership. And so he was a part of the process of selling the car back. Took over a year to earn enough money to buy a used car again. And that young man is now an adult man and father himself, and he's a remarkable human because I think he had 2 parents who all throughout his growth and development were not prioritizing happiness, but prioritizing well-being over everything, so that they had to make a lot of hard decisions in the moments when he was moving in different directions. And I want to challenge every parent hearing that story to think about how much of a hassle that was for the 2 of them. Like, it's really that for all the scary things about our kids driving, it's a nice convenience when they can drive themselves to places. So they kind of went right back to square one, but were willing to take on the extra of that learning for the sake of his growth and good, which has translated to a remarkable young man who has a lot of capability about him.
I love that story because it's kind of a capstone story that here's your child kind of at the end of that child rearing, and then that big lesson and being willing to take the hit for the lesson. I was in Costco yesterday and I told Lucy my heart was just so broken, and I don't mean it in judgment. There were these cute little twin girls. They're probably 4 years old, matching Crocs, matching outfits, matching pink and purple iPads, and their eyes were just glued to the screen, and they just did not move the entire time I saw them. And I thought, this is capable starts really early. Capable starts with, you are capable to sit in this cart and to talk to me and to be a little bit bored and for me to be a little inconvenienced and for us to talk about the colors in the grocery store. Because believe me, without the tablet, if they never had the tablet, there'd be tons of things to do and to look at inside of a store. So friends, as you're listening, whether you have a teenager or a toddler, this capable starts today. You can start this today. Sissy, any words that like a key takeaway that you want to leave us with, and then let us know how to find out more about you in this book.
I just was thinking my key takeaway is I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for the truth and the hope and the light that you are in this world, and honored to get to partner alongside you. That's my key takeaway. And hopefully the book will help anybody that's listening.
For sure.
And to find us, raisingboysandgirls.com is where we have all the things. And we try to be as helpful on Instagram as possible at Raising Boys and Girls and at Sissy Goff both.
So awesome. Thank you, David. Thank you, Sissy.
We love you.
Joy to be with you, Arlene.
Love you guys.